All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something really powerful, a psychological concept that probably affects every single one of us at some point. It's called the avoidance relief trap.
And this is the central question, isn't it? It feels like a total paradox. Why would escaping from stress actually teach your brain to stay afraid? I mean, if something makes you feel better, that should be a good thing, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack why that immediate relief can actually train your brain to become more fearful, not less. Okay, let's get into it.
So, first things first, we need to get a handle on the core mechanism at play here, what we'll call the relief trap. Honestly, this is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
Now here's what makes this whole thing so tricky. Avoidance is incredibly persuasive because it works right away, instantly. Imagine you're anxious about a presentation at work. You call in sick, and poof, the anxiety just vanishes. That immediate feedback is so powerful. Your brain registers it as a huge win. But the real issue isn't what happens in that moment. The danger is in the lesson your brain learns from it. So, let's give this feeling a name. Avoidance relief. It's that classic, phew, dodged a bullet sensation. But here's the key. It's more than just a feeling. It's a training signal. Every single time you feel that relief, you are actively teaching your nervous system that the best, and maybe the only, way to handle discomfort is just to run away.
So let's move on and look at how this actually builds a powerful and often totally invisible cycle inside your brain. How does that training signal actually work?
Well, it all happens in a really simple four-step feedback loop. Step 1, you encounter something that triggers that fear or anxiety. Could be a social event, a difficult conversation, you name it. Step 2, you find a way out. You don't go. You change the subject. Step 3, that wave of relief just washes over you. And here's the most important part, Step 4, your brain, being the amazing learning machine it is, basically goes, aha, that worked. Escape is the solution. And it locks that lesson in tight.
And this is where the trap really snaps shut. See, the thing you avoided doesn't just stay scary, it actually gets scarier. And why is that? It's because you're not gathering any new data about it. Your only recent memory is, I ran away and I felt better, which just reinforces the idea that it must have been incredibly dangerous to begin with. It becomes this untested monster in your mind, which makes it way easier to imagine the absolute worst-case scenario.
And this brings us to the real-world consequences of living inside this loop. The cost isn't just some abstract anxiety. It has a tangible, concrete impact on your life. It creates what we can call a shrinking world.
So here's the trade-off, laid out plain and simple. In the short term, yeah, you get a quick fix, your discomfort goes down, it feels like a win. But the long-term cost is massive. You slowly chip away at your own confidence, and bit by bit, your world just gets smaller and smaller as you avoid more things.
Just think about how this plays out. First, maybe you avoid one party. Then you start avoiding all big parties. And before you know it, maybe you're avoiding most social gatherings. Each act of avoidance cuts off a potential experience, a potential connection, another opportunity. Your life literally gets narrower. And the next thing to go? Your confidence. It stops being this stable, internal belief in your ability to handle things. Instead, it becomes conditional. You feel confident as long as you can avoid your triggers. Your sense of being capable now depends entirely on your ability to escape, not your ability to endure. And finally, this is kind of the end game of the avoidance loop. After you've constantly told your brain that all these things are too dangerous to face, well, your brain starts to believe it. Your very perception of reality starts to shift. The world genuinely begins to feel more threatening than it actually is, because you've starved your brain of any evidence to the contrary.
Okay, so that's the trap. It's a powerful one for sure. But, and this is the good news, it is not a life sentence. So let's talk about a better way forward. How do you actually break this cycle?
Now this is so important. The goal is not to become some kind of robot or to just power through fear without feeling anything. It's actually much smarter than that. The goal is to become a kind of scientist of your own experience and to deliberately start feeding your brain new, more accurate data. So how do you do that? Well, here are 3 really practical strategies. First, when you feel that avoidance relief, you have to consciously reframe it. Tell yourself, okay, this is just a temporary feeling. It's not proof that I was in any real danger. Second, use something called graded exposure. You don't have to jump into the deep end. Start small. Face a tiny version of the fear. This gives your brain that corrective data that says, hey, wait a minute, that wasn't so bad. And third, and this one is huge, you have to change your definition of success. Don't wait for the fear to completely disappear. Instead, praise yourself for tolerating the discomfort and for trying again. That's the real victory.
And this leads us to our final, and honestly most empowering section, retraining the loop. This is all about shifting your entire perspective on what's happening inside your own mind.
You know, this is the real beauty of understanding this concept. The moment you see this feedback loop for what it is, just a predictable mechanical brain process, it loses so much of its power. It stops feeling like some deep personal failing or a mysterious character flaw. You realize, oh, it's just a pattern.
And this right here is the key takeaway. You can stop judging yourself for feeling anxious or for wanting to escape. Instead of thinking, I'm so irrational, you can start saying, there's that feedback loop again. Time to give my brain some better data. It completely transforms the problem from some fixed personality trait into a skill that's totally trainable.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. You don't have to go out and conquer your biggest fear tomorrow. Not at all. But what's one small, manageable thing you could choose not to avoid this week? What's one tiny piece of new, corrective data you could give your brain to start rewriting that loop? Thanks for joining this explainer.